Hey everyone, Mays here, bringing you episode 3 of Waking the Sleeping Demon, my DePaul Dynasty. Hope you enjoyed episode 2. This is a big one. We're getting right into it on this episode to let you know what is ahead of you. 6 games on DePaul's schedule. The next 6, only 12 remaining on the season. These next 6, 5 of them are on the road. So a tough road stretch in the Big East. We're also playing some very good teams in that stretch. Only home game is hosting a ranked Georgetown team. So you can see the games on the docket for Friday, January 27th in the Big East. Before I get into simulating games, because we're going to go through that pretty quick, I want to start by looking at the stats and insights for the team. Hope you're ready. Let's get going. Big night in the Big East. You have a top 25 matchup, Georgetown taking on Villanova in Philly. That's a big one. Also, UConn going on the road to play Providence. Providence, hey, 2 wins in their last 3 games, starting to trend in the right direction. Can they snag a home win against the Huskies? And we are going on the road, starting this road trip against Marquette. Marquette 9-9 on the season. They've been playing a little better recently as well. No real surprises in the Big East before I simulate the game with Marquette. Creighton, tough game against Butler. Butler's defense continues to be probably one of the best in the conference this year. 73-54 win over Creighton. Good win for UConn, 73-69. Providence put up a good fight, but the Huskies escape with a 4-point win. St. John's, good win at Seton Hall, 73-60. Tough season continues for the Pirates. And as for that top 25 matchup, Villanova successful in an 85-75 win, led in that game by Jordan Lagino, who put up a season high for himself, 30 points. Also, the best performance of the evening in the Big East. Colin Gillespie adding 11 assists. That's big. And Ryan Barkley on the board, 16. So Villanova Wildcats leading the way in points, assists, and rebounds this evening in the Big East. Now let's see what DePaul can do against the Golden Eagles. And our road woes continue, a 77-58. Ooh, loss on the road. 19-point loss when offense clearly just didn't show up. Seems Marquette was led by Greg Elliott, the junior guard. 16 points, plus 16, plus minus. He added 4 rebounds and 5 assists, only 2 turnovers. Pretty good night for him. Overall, very balanced effort for the Golden Eagles. They got quite a bit out of the bench. I mean, the bench really played well. And this is, again, this has been a story throughout the entire season for us. Our bench has really struggled, and Marquette beat us up when it came to when our starters were off the floor. Terry Woodbury off the bench with 17 and 4 rebounds. A good night for him. The Clemson transfer, Olivier Maxine's Prosper, only 3 points, but added 7 rebounds. Foul trouble has kind of been the issue for him this year. Only 3 fouls in this one. That's actually probably a positive for Marquette. Looking at DePaul, the starters, it seems, we struggled a bit, but just couldn't find anything offensively. 19% 3-point shooting. That's not going to get it done going 4 of 21. Only 30% from the field. Not much better. But we got to the free throw line, but couldn't cash in. We only made 63% of our free throws. So it seems that the shooting really held us down. And that's definitely disappointing against a Marquette team that the defense hasn't really been the strength for the Golden Eagles, but they did a good job just whipping us in this one. Clearly, their defense stepped up in a big way. I mean, their largest lead in this one was 23. Tough night for us. Tough night for Jalen Terry, going out early in this one, only 3 points before an injury. Let's see the injury that he's dealing with. Bruised thigh. Looks like he's going to be available, but maybe out for a few days. That's okay because we will be getting JFL back during this sim, but tough to see Jalen Terry go down just as he was starting to really play well and really come on for us. David Jones, a pretty good game, 9 and 5. Ongenda kind of got beat up inside, had a tough outing. And that's the story in this one, a tough loss for us on the road. So before our game with Butler, we clearly got to change up the depth chart a bit. Jalen Terry shows, he's going to be playing roughly about 70%, but he's going to be out for the next 9 days dealing with a bruised thigh. So we want to limit his minutes a bit in this next one. I think it's an opportunity more for Ahmad Bynum. I don't know if we're quite ready to bring JFL back. Also a chance for, I think, some players, reserve guys, to earn some minutes as well. It's going to be a tough game with Butler on the road, but I think if we mix up the rotation a bit, keep guys fresh, we're going to have an opportunity to at least stay competitive in that one. So Jalen Terry, if he is able to go, we're probably going to play him maybe around 25 minutes. Uh, Gives a great opportunity for true freshman Ahmad Bynum to play. He's also going to earn some minutes with Marquise Jacobs. The two of them actually know each other from their days on the AAU circuit. They both played for the Mac Irvin Fire EYBL team. My concern, of course, is going to be with those two on the floor at the same time. Defensively, I think it's going to be a bit of a struggle. So I can't see us being able to go long stretches. But that's why I'm going to give some minutes to Gavassi and McCauley here to mix into that backcourt a little bit more in Jalen Terry's stead. Having that bigger body guy, a little more physical, I think is a nice change and a nice compliment to guys like Jacobs and Bynum in the backcourt. So we'll just sim this one, see how we do against Butler. 14-5, 8-2 in Big East play. Butler having a really strong season. Only other game in the Big East this evening. Creighton and Marquette, two teams that find themselves in the middle of the Big East standings, both looking for a win to get. For Creighton, it would be to 500 in conference play. And for Marquette, it's to stay above 500 for their overall record. It's an important game for both teams there. Looks like we have Marquette beat Creighton 77-66 last night, and the Bulldogs at home in Hinkle hold on 72-70. Looks like they just had a big second half. I mean, we started well, took a 7-point lead into halftime, but then gave up 47 points to Butler in the second half. I mean, Butler's a team that, they're not a high scoring offensive team. That's a tough number to see them being able to put up more than 45 and a half, because that's not the type of team that wants to do something like that. They don't play at a very high pace, don't have a lot of individual like ISO capable scorers. So this is a team that I'm surprised to see that. And it definitely makes sense that we just weren't able to quite keep pace in that second half. We did have a lead as much as 15 in this one. So clearly we just kind of let the game get away from us on the road. Road continues to be the bugaboo for DePaul. Butler all season has been led by the backcourt of Chuck Harris and Jaden Taylor. Jaden Taylor, a true freshman. Harris is a sophomore that had a great freshman season in his first year on campus. He had 19 in this one in 31 minutes against us. And Jaden Taylor, just a nice overall effort for him. 18 points. He has 8 rebounds. That's surprising, along with 6 assists. Continuing to be a true freshman that has stepped in and has run this offense very well. Butler really beat us up on the boards, got a lot of good second chance opportunities. I mean, you look at the second chance points, 10-1 advantage for Butler. We only had 21 rebounds in this one. Butler was able to get 37, including 8 offensive rebounds. They didn't have a great offensive night. I mean, 3 of 15 from 3-point range, didn't make their free throws, even though they got to the line for 40 attempts. That's insane. But a big part of it was they maximized the amount of possessions they were able to get. And then second half clearly went on a few runs where they were able to take over the pace of the game and able to find some ways for easy buckets. But given that we didn't have Javon Freeman Liberty or Jalen Terry in this game, it is nice to see that we were able to step up and have some guys that played really well in their stead. You had Tyon Grant Foster have 11 points, a nice overall game for him off the bench. Ahmad Bynum playing 22 minutes. He kind of struggled. Seems like he got himself in some foul trouble. I wonder if he actually would have played more minutes in this game, if not for 5 fouls on the night. Kavasi and McCauley as well. So we went with a little bit shorter bench. We didn't have guys like Max Williams and Brendan Favre, who I thought may earn some minutes in this one. Instead, playing basically an 8-man rotation in this game. Also a nice, good all-around effort from Sean Robinson, but his struggles shooting continue. This is 3 games in a row where he has been 0 from 3-point range. And so his numbers continue to drop. Also only 2 of 8 from the field. I need Sean Robinson to start to pick it up and get out of this slump. I'm not sure what it's going to take for him to do that, but that's someone that actually we may limit his minutes a bit, given that he is really starting to struggle. That's a tough one. That's one you lose a little sleep over if you're a coach, I'm sure. A 72-70 loss on the road to Butler. Short turnaround, only 1 day of rest in between 2 road games here. And of course, we're taking on the best team in the conference. Not an ideal situation for us, especially for a team that's dealing with some injuries. It would have been great to be able to rest Jalen Terry a little bit more. We don't want to rush back JFL. I will let you know, he's not going to join us for the first part of this road trip, but in 2 days, we play Georgetown at home. JFL will be back in the starting lineup for that one, but he's going to miss tonight again as he continues to rehab. We want to make sure he's at 100%. Same for Jalen Terry. Tough to lose 2 of them when you're taking on the best team in the conference. Before we sim the Nova game, looking around the rest of the Big East, a big win for St. John's, 87-73 over Butler. Butler really trending up. That ends their win streak even though Marquise Hastings in that one had 27 for Butler. UConn continuing to roll, 81-70 win over Marquette. And you can say the same about Georgetown as well, 80-59 over Creighton. Creighton, a tough season, but I think a lot of people are expecting that. They lost so much off last year's roster, not just the 5 starters, but even losing a few players to transfer. It's a new look team, but a young team. So a team that in a few years may be able to develop and be special, but they're going through some growing pains. Providence, it just hasn't quite happened for them. Clearly, they brought in some transfers and some new players into that rotation that clearly things haven't gelled. A good win for Seton Hall in that one, 73-64. They got a good effort from Tyrese Samuel in that game. Now let's see what we can do against the Villanova Wildcats. Villanova 15-6 on the season, 9-1 in the Big East. By far, so far, the best team in the conference. Let's see what we can do. And a tough loss. Nice to see the offense show up, but an 88-80 loss to Nova. Justin Moore with 20, Colin Gillespie with 17. Nice to see a great effort from Nick Ongenda, taking advantage of, a bit of a size difference there. A double-double, 10 points, 13 rebounds. A good effort for him, but a tough overall game and a tough loss for us. I can't say that's not the game that I expected. I expected to see Villanova run it up a bit, but good to see we were able to keep pace for most of that game, but a tough loss on the road. This road stretch, these first 3, all 0-3, and some really tough losses in there. But as you can see, the injuries really showing that this is a roster that hasn't fully developed yet. We're still relying on a lot of younger players. I think that's good news for the future, but for right now, definitely going to hurt us in terms of wins and losses. Would have been great to upset Villanova there, but got to say that's kind of what I expected. And now another short turnaround, but we do get a home game. So 1 day of rest and then a home game against top 25 Georgetown. Let's sim to that game, but then we definitely need to change up our depth chart and our strategy going into that game against the Hoyas. Gonzaga, you can see there a 76-62 win over San Diego, moves to 16-6 on the season. Got a good game out of Hunter Salas. Drew Timme with 20, basically does it every night, but led by the true freshman, Chet Holmgren. As you can see, big changes to the depth chart here. We get Javon Freeman-Liberty back into the starting lineup. While we have him in the 2-guard spot, a lot of that has to do with matchups, given that he is the bigger guard compared to Marquise Jacobs. But Freeman-Liberty steps back into his role as the lead facilitator, lead ball handler for this offense. He'll be starting next to David Jones, Romeo Weems, and Nick Ongenda. No changes there. Jacobs stays in the starting lineup, but you see his minutes decreased while we give more run to Ahmad Bynum and Kavasier McCauley. Also, a few minutes to Max Williams. Want to see what he can do last 4 minutes before half, see if he can give us anything. That's a player that recently earned a scholarship but came to Chicago from IMG Academy, originally from the Chicagoland area, but played his high school ball at IMG Academy and was a preferred walk-on for DePaul. Let's see what he can do as we continue to figure out what is the best rotation for this team. I mean, ideally, we would have Jalen Terry back. He's going to miss this one again, not able to earn any minutes yet as he continues to deal with that thigh contusion. No major changes in terms of the front court, big changes to what we see in the back court, and good to see JFL back in this one. That's big as we take on a tough game against Georgetown. And a tough one back at home, 89-79 loss to Georgetown. Caden Rice dropped 33 on us. A freshman, Aminu Muhammad, only goes for 12. Good to have Freeman-Liberty back. Looks like he led the way. Let's take a quick look at that box score before we move on here. The big story in this one is Georgetown getting 33 from Caden Rice, who went 6 of 10 for 3, and also added 13 rebounds and 3 blocks in that game. Just overall dominated us inside and out. That's a huge performance for him. And Georgetown winning this one, not quite in the style you're used to. They lost the rebounding effort, 35-34. So while it was close, we were able to beat them on the boards. Part of that was definitely having Freeman-Liberty back. He's a great rebounder for his size and at his position. He had a great all-around game, 15, 6, and 5. So good to have him back. But this was Georgetown clearly playing a style they liked in the first half. They beat us 35-27 into the break. But then they got into a track race with us and were able to keep pace and to actually get the better of us, putting up 54 to our 52 in the second half. That's good news for Georgetown as they continue to find ways to win without having to play the style they may be accustomed to. Sean Robinson continues to just not be able to figure it out. 0 of 5 from the field, 0 of 3 from 3-point range. He even missed his 2 free throws in this game. So just an 0 for across the board. He did add 7 rebounds. That's big. So he stayed engaged in the game, even though the shots weren't falling. But that's starting to become a pattern I'm a little concerned about, especially with him getting such a big run in this game, with Nick Ogenda getting into foul trouble early and only playing 12 minutes. I mean, we need Sean Robinson to give us something offensively. It can't just be rebounds and moving the basketball in and out. We're going to need those shots to start falling. It actually makes me wonder if true freshman Kokiat needs to start earning some more minutes at the 4 and 5 to maybe give Robinson a little bit of rest while he works his way out of this slump. Wednesday, February 8th, 5 games in the Big East, including our matchup on the road against Creighton. Only 2 more games in this sim. I'd love to see us get at least a win, if not 2, in this sim. That was my hope during this big road show in the Big East. Some notable scores around the league: an 82-73 win for UConn on the road at Villanova. That's a tough place to play, especially with Villanova playing so well right now. That's a huge bounce back game for UConn after a loss to Butler. That'll likely keep them in the top 25. They're just hanging on right now. As for the other team in the conference in the top 25, they just got a massive win over St. John's, 92-59. And there it is. Big road win for DePaul, 70-57. While it only moves our record to 8-14, let me tell you, this win is big for our program. Going into CenturyLink Omaha and beating the Blue Jays by 13, that is a huge win for us. Getting our first road win in 3 seasons in the Big East. A great performance out of the backcourt. Good to have Jalen Terry and Javon Freeman-Liberty back together. Their first game starting back together in about 11 games. Even with Jalen Terry struggling with turnovers, he had 7 in this one, still gave us 16 on a good shooting night. Javon Freeman-Liberty, basically perfect. He was perfect from 3-point range, 7 of 8 from the free throw line, gave us 17 points, 6 assists, and 2 steals. Awesome performance out of the backcourt, especially against Sharif Mitchell and Roddy Andrishkavili. Those are tough matchups, and our backcourt shut them down. I mean, only 6 points combined out of those 2. That's huge. Big O, Nick Ongenda, clearly, dealing with the injury in this one. We did limit his minutes a bit, but he was still solid in the minutes he did play. And against Ryan Kalkbrenner, who got 13 and 6 in this one. I mean, he's so important. He's really our only true big on the roster. I'd love to see if we can add some depth behind him next year. I think Sean Robinson has shown that he's probably more of a 4 in this offense. While he is big, he adds some size. He is a little more comfortable playing away from the basket. Nice to see 4 starters in double digits, including David Jones. Not always known to fill it up, but 10 points in this one with 5 rebounds. Another good performance out of Romeo Weems. During this sim, he's actually been our best player by far. 14 points, 6 rebounds, 2 blocks in this game. Nice all-around performance for him. And you see down at the bottom how we got it done, 18 points in the paint. And while Creighton beat us on some second chance opportunities and beat us in open court with fast break points, we were able to handle our business, including shooting 50% from 3. Definitely our best shooting performance of the season. My starters only missed 3 of their 9 attempts from 3. That's huge for us, especially against a Creighton team where if you spread them out, especially those big men, get them away from the basket, you open up opportunities for rebounds, but also good matchups one-on-one that we clearly took advantage of on the road. Only took a 1-point lead into the locker room at halftime, but 12 points better than Creighton in the second half. Good enough for a 13-point victory. A big one for DePaul. Definitely going to be writing this one up as well. So definitely check out the article about this win, its significance, and how long it's been, and a long time coming for DePaul to get a road win in the Big East. Only game in the Big East on Monday the 13th. DePaul traveling to Xavier. It's a big game for us. Let's take a quick look at this game preview. See Xavier continue to be led this season by Adam Kunkel. 16 points, 2 assists. Xavier also will be without Dwan Odom, dealing with an injury, a torn knee tendon in this one. This is probably our first clean injury report in a few games. That's huge for us. Kunkel versus Freeman-Liberty, definitely the top matchup in this one. But I'd like to see how we can do against a Xavier team that's very active defensively, very good on the boards. But they've struggled of late, just like us, 3-7 in their last 10. Are we able to take advantage of the team that seems to not be playing their best basketball right now? Another big win and a chance to close out this sim with 2 straight. I'd love to see it. Let's hope we can get this one done. And we close out this sim having played 5 of 6 on the road with another tough loss. We now lose 5 of 6 in this sim, with the only win coming in that last road game against Creighton. 78-66 loss in this one, a 12-point loss where Xavier held a comfortable lead early and just continued to ride that momentum throughout the game. Adam Kunkel had a great one in this one, 24 points, 4 rebounds, got to the free throw line and converted 11 of his 14 attempts there. An awesome game for him. He led the way, took the pressure off the rest of Xavier's crew. Guys like Zach Fremantle still able to add 10 points. Nice to see Bynum and Grant Foster continue to play well off the bench for us. While each of them shot 1 of 5 from 3, they still got 13 and 10 points respectively, with Grant Foster having an overall very nice game, adding 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals. A tough game and actually a tough matchup for Romeo Weems. Good effort for Nick Ongenda, back at 100%. That's nice to see. The backcourt for us just struggled in this one. Didn't make their shots. Jalen Terry and Javon Freeman Liberty combined to go 3 of 8 from 3. That's fine. But when you don't get that many opportunities, it only gives you 8 points apiece out of the backcourt. They weren't able to keep pace with Adam Kunkel combined. Definitely not a good sign for us on the road. Strange to see we had a 17-point lead, must have opened an early lead, and then Xavier took over. They had as large as a 19-point lead that they opened up against us in the second half. A tough one on the road. Xavier able to come back after a loss to Creighton. We're coming off a win against Creighton, and they get the better of us 78-66. A tough one as we now get into the middle of February, closing out this season for DePaul, Kenny Payne's first season in charge in Lincoln Park. All right, we end this episode on Wednesday, February 15th, 2022. DePaul will be playing host to Marquette. The Golden Eagles 13-11 with a chance to get to 500 in the Big East. Some other important games on the docket in the Big East as well that day. Butler going on the road. Same with the Villanova Wildcats, a big road game against Xavier. That's where we'll pick up the next episode. Hope you enjoyed this episode. This next one will take us through the rest of the regular season. Very excited for that as we get closer and closer to the NCAA tournament. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell to make sure you get episodes as soon as I drop them on YouTube. Hope you enjoyed this one. I'll talk to you soon.